back. Today, I'm going to be making biscuits. Very simple recipe. 5 ingredients. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A little extra flour here. I'm not counting that. So, we're going to start with our dry ingredients. Flour, 2 cups. Baking powder, about 3 teaspoons. Half a teaspoon of salt. Into that, we are going to cut chilled butter, 4 tablespoons, and we have our buttermilk, about a cup of buttermilk. Okay, so we have all of our ingredients scaled out. I'm going to start with our dry ingredients. We're going to sift all of the dry ingredients together. Get rid of any clumps or anything. Make a nice, fine, powdery mixture. So into a bowl, sieve, see all those chunks in there, you can just work them out. Don't want that in our dough. That is done. Okay, now that we have our dry ingredients, we're going to add our butter and we're going to essentially cut this in. We're going to work it into the dough and make about, I want it to be about pea-sized, little floury, buttery pieces in here. Just working it with our hands. You can also do this in a food processor. Don't worry about the flour going everywhere. We will utilize that when we roll out our dough onto our work surface. Okay, so we're just working the flour and butter together, cutting the butter into the flour, almost like a coarse cornmeal. Just working it through your fingers to incorporate it. We're just trying to coat the flour, coat the fat with the flour, enhance that flavor, give it a nice mouthfeel when we bake it. Okay, so now we have our mixture. All our butter is in. Okay, now we're going to add our buttermilk. You can't make buttermilk biscuits without buttermilk. Okay, and just gently with a fork, almost as if we're making a pasta dough, we're just working the buttermilk in. Gonna make a nice, pretty moist dough out of this. Again, if you need a little extra flour, you can always add it. But you want this dough just to be sticking together, just holding. It doesn't need to be perfect. You don't want to overwork it, so you'll get tough biscuits. Nice tender biscuits come from a nice loose dough. It just comes together. Just like that, just holding together. Okay. So now we have our reserved flour. We're going to dust our work surface. We're going to turn out our dough onto the work surface. Again, see how it's just barely coming together. Keep it nice and floured so it doesn't stick. Take our rolling pin, roll it out into about a 1-inch thick rectangle. It's still a little flaky, that's okay. All right, and from here we're going to build layers. So, I'm going to cut this dough into 4 pieces. You can see you get a little extra flour there. We're going to stack that piece. Stack that piece. And stack the final piece. So now we've got 4 layers of dough. I'm going to create a super flaky biscuit. A nice pull apart action. And flouring our work surface so it doesn't stick. Our sanitizer there, always working cleanly. And again, just rolling our dough back out to a nice big rectangle. Working those layers into it. Super easy, super simple. Okay, I'm gonna try and even it out. Now, our rectangle of dough, our parchment. Now we can do circle biscuits. You can do square biscuits. Cut them into even squares. There's no waste there. You use a pastry cutter. If I can get it open, maybe I will be cutting these into squares. Oh, all right, here we go. Pick out the size you want. It's using this one, and we're just cutting out little circles, again as close to each other as possible to minimize on the waste. You can also work the dough back in to another rectangle and cut a few more biscuits out of it. But your biscuits will be tougher, so sometimes cutting them into a square and getting the most yield out of it as possible is the best way, but I personally just like circles. So now we are going to place these on our sheet tray far enough apart so when they bake and rise they will not come together. You see we have 12. Gonna do 6 at a time into the oven. Preheated at 450 for 12 to 14 minutes. Okay, it's been about 14 minutes here. We can see our biscuits, nice golden brown. Maybe could have rolled them out a little thicker, but you see nice, even. You see those layers in there. Ooh, it's hot. Take it here. No, we didn't put any sugar in these. Look at that. So, you can also glaze them maybe with a little bit of butter right on the top. If you want to do that, just finish them with a little butter. Nice little shine. I'm going to put a little butter on the inside. And no sugar, but we've got a little bit of honey. Nice little snack. Do some fried chicken with that. Pickled jalapenos.